What is going on? It is SCPCRNP, aka Like a Lepers. Thanks for joining us tonight on our weeknightly stream of a reaction series every weeknight, 7:30 p.m. CST, except for Wednesdays, starting this week. And just to remind you, if you missed our show on Saturday, SCP Meta, that was a spicy show. Go check that one out if you have not seen that. And of course, our 3-hour-long gauntlet on Friday night was a lot of fun. We had a guest, Harmony, come on and review a few articles for us. I was very appreciative of that. We did have an audio issue with that. That was something on my end. Kinks, just got to work them out when they come by. There's always that false start first time you do something. But I did mention on both of those casts that I will be having a short week this week. So we're doing this tonight. We're doing this tomorrow night as usual. And then Wednesday night is going to be sort of the middle of the week rest for me. I went into detail about that maybe last week. But basically, Thursday morning is going to be really tough when I go back to work, which is going to be the next couple of weeks. So Wednesday nights will be kind of a chill night. We'll take a break. And this week, I'm actually going out of town. I got to go to a funeral, and I got to start traveling on Thursday. So I will not be able to do our stream on Thursday night. And I also, unfortunately, will not be able to do the Friday night stream, which is the SCP Weekly Review, detailed, or the Saturday stream, the SCP Meta. SCP Meta, we're just going to not do it. And then the SCP stream of articles that we typically do on Friday night, we're going to push that to Sunday night. So we'll still do it. It's just going to be a couple days down on a day that we usually don't do anything. Sunday is usually, kind of a day of rest, if you will. So having said that out of the way with, we'll do tonight, we'll do tomorrow night. So I wanted to kind of pick up first of all and just kind of, finish what we started. Which is this interview with Whiteguard by our home base, Sean Saxum, who, does not disappoint. And we've been listening to The Author's Anomalous, which is a great title. This is our first episode of that we've listened to. I think it's been a little stop and go, little on the dull side just comparatively. But having said that, I think it's well worth our time. So we will finish this up. Let me get this up on the screen here as the camera shakes inordinately. Here we go. Bang. Let me kind of do this. I love it. I love it when it takes full screen. All right. And let me just make sure that my settings are okay. I definitely don't want this autofocus on. It kind of goes crazy. Okay. So let's finish this up. And then once we finish this up, we have obviously some interesting news to talk about. This has kind of commandeered the title of the episode, so we'll get into that, but just let's finish this real quick, and we'll listen to this on 2x speed. And then we'll get into the juicy details. The good stuff. The good stuff. That's right. I'm going to make you sit through this first. Do you see how that works? Yeah, that's just how it goes. That's by design, baby. All right, let's go.
Like that. And whenever I started doing them, people kind of flocked to it. People really enjoyed it, and I sort of got a name as an interviewer. I'm not necessarily famous across the entire SCP community, but the people who are really sort of into it, especially the people who find my interviews interesting, they really like it, and they really it's just a rewarding experience all the way around. There's really no negatives in my mind whenever I'm able to publish one of these.
Yeah, for sure. I honestly think any more essay type content on the wiki, maybe this is an unpopular opinion, and I'm just
So last time we were listening to this, we learned something interesting, that DJ Cactus approached Whiteguard to do this interviewing icons thing, which is that's totally backwards to me. I can't imagine volunteering myself, nominating myself as an icon to be interviewed. That's just a little backwards to me. And so now that we've learned that, because I never assumed that at all, I never would have thought that. But now that we know that, I do have to wonder if the same thing happened with someone like Rounderhouse. I mean, I'm not saying the Whiteguard, that he didn't approach anybody, but it's just, I don't know. So DJ Cactus and Rounderhouse are basically the same person. You got to understand that. And so if DJ Cactus, sort of suggested himself for one of these interviewing icons things, I have to wonder if Render House did too. I have to. I think it's, like father, like son.
So maybe I'm a little weird for this, but I honestly think I may have read just as many essays and like stuff like that on the site as I've read SCP articles. And honestly, just because I find this stuff, honestly, the site of the SCP Wiki, like the idea of the SCP Wiki, interests me more than the fictional SCP Foundation does.
Well, you might think that if you're listening to this, because unless basically you could always join our Friday night stream, which is all about the writing, but everything else, that we do, the weekend show, SCP Meta, it's marginally about the writing. But even this reaction series that we do weeknightly, that's also, kind of about the writing. We'll definitely get into like philosophy of like stylistic decisions and different schools of compositional thought and things like that. But, we're kind of hanging out in the outskirts, you know what I'm saying, with this kind of stuff. Sean Saxon sounds like he would like this. Maybe I should, advertise myself to him, forward myself to this guy. Maybe I should send Whiteguard a message and ask him to interview me as an icon. What do you think? What do you think about that?
Maybe that's partly why I focus more on that in these episodes. But I love stuff like this. Your interview series was great. And this is exactly what I want out of this.
Yeah, it takes a special kind of geek, to not really like dig SCP for like the reason that everybody else digs SCP, which is either, the outer fandom media, the sort of like second tier like regurgitated YouTube video, basically, or nowadays TikTok adaptations. Or if you're in the community, I think a lot of people like it because of the social spoils. I mean, it's like a metropolis. It's the place to be. It's the place you go to see and be seen. It's the place with all the upvotes, baby. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's where you go, right? That's what a lot of people are there for, I think. So it's really odd, and I just love to find it. It's the rarity, but I'm so glad that it's the rarity to find people who like the SCP for like different reasons, like this guy.
Right.
Oh, I love hearing that, and that's something that I really enjoy. I think we have a really interesting history, and I'm always glad to be able to add to that history and be able to provide more insight into that history.
100%. It's been really nice.
Cool dude.
I find the history of the Foundation.
I'm saying Whiteguard's a cool dude, but also shout out to Cool Dude who does a lot of this historical analysis and archaeology.
Really, really good. Not really, really good. Really, really interesting. That's a much better way to say that. And I love reading about it. I love looking into it, even going through like forums and O5 command and stuff to figure out what's going on.
See, this guy would love my shit. Come on, my blog is political commentary on O5. That's really all it is. It has been like original config works, for a while, but I think I'm going to move all of them to the magazine. Really, I mean, let's be honest here. I'm dividing and conquering myself, which is not a good strategy. I want people to write for the config magazine, baby. Let's do it.
Going on, it's very interesting to me. Not saying I'm super interested in the drama necessarily, but just how like things came to be and what's going on.
You can admit it. I know you're into the drama. Everybody is, man. The funny thing about it is that our Discord server, SCF, is tagged by people who don't like it as a drama server, and that's true. I'm not gonna, mince words. I mean, you can call it that if you want to. I think that's like, I think it's called like calling a sunset a flash of light. I think that, it's technically it's not wrong. I think it's just a little, meager of a description. You could probably put some more meat on that bones if you wanted to, but this last episode of SCP Meta was a good example where Almerduck was on. We were talking about some drama, but the point is not to be like, oh, he said, she said. The point is to pull out larger teaching points, honestly. The point is to pull out larger commentary on, not just the space, not just like how to better conduct yourself, but like life lessons. I hate to be so cheesy and like I'm the old guy, because, I am. But I mean, life lessons. Like, for example, this last week we looked at, how it doesn't matter how many upvotes you have. If somebody says something negative about your article, I mean, it's people get really irritated. I mean, it doesn't provide you any sort of self reinforcement, self-restructuring, self-buttressing in the way of esteem. And yet it's sort of masqueraded as the end-all be-all of value, in the wiki, in the community. So those are the reasons why we talk about this. Hopefully the things that we say from the drama will sort of like boil all the excess meaningless stuff off, and what you're left with is something that you can actually take with you wherever you go for the rest of your life. I mean, it's kind of like coaching. the lessons you learn as a football player are not going to, help you when you go, get a degree and whatever, but I mean, the lessons that you learn about how you deal with adversity, things like this, you know what I mean? That's what it's about, man. That's really what it's about. So of course we talk about the drama. If you want to be a reductionist, it's going to hit it. But Sean Saxon, don't be shy. You know you love the drama, baby. It's that sweet, sweet, buttery drama.
I think it's cool. Just a culture like this it's just such an interesting part of the like modern day world and how the internet like words.
I know. Hey man, look, it happens. It happens. If you don't get sleep like I do sometimes, you can't say words. You can't say polysyllabic words. I gotta know when to like keep it monosyllabic, duosyllabic. Otherwise you sound like that. You sound like you have a stroke on the air.
So that things like this can exist, I guess. But that's a whole different topic. That's reaching a little bit.
Sorry.
But yeah, I've really enjoyed your interview series. I haven't had a chance to read all of them yet, but I've been going through them.
Well, when you get a chance to get to that point, last summer, it was actually right after I got married.
Oh, congratulations.
Last summer,
congratulations.
I released like a 4-part interview series, and it's part of my interviewing icons, but they're special ones. They include some artwork, whereas all my other interviews don't, and some additional context. And the whole theme of it, the idea was to celebrate like the anniversary of the wiki. I believe it was the 13th anniversary. And yes, it was the 13th anniversary of the SCP Wiki on our current platform.
That was cool.
Here,
that was cool.
Which is July 25th every year, anniversary. But I kicked it off, and all 4 of the interviewees are like the original people, including the first one being the dude who created this SCP Wiki on Wikidot, the administrator Fritz Willie.
Yep, that was a good one.
So
real good.
Whenever you get to that point, if I don't know if you're already ready yet, but yeah,
I think I can't remember. I know I've read your one with Dr. Gears. Not sure about Fritz Willie.
Yeah, Gears.
Man, I read all of them.
Gears was
man.
the last one before. Yep.
I read all of them as soon as they came out. Fucking love those things.
Okay.
Yeah, it was Fritz Willie, Dr. Clef, Kane Pathos Crow, and then Dr. Gears was the 4 of those.
That is super cool. 4 very, very big names.
Oh yeah, and Fritz Willie is hard to get a hold of, and so that was a very interesting experience trying to get a hold of him. And he gave me some. I feel like you probably haven't read it, because if you had, I feel like you would definitely remember it. It's one of my most, I think, interesting interviews. He's had
I've already upvoted it, so I guess I did. I at least read
I think it was in some ways more interesting than Gears, because you kind of expect that someone will be able to get in touch with Gears. You know what I mean? Like he just got basically a second kidney donated to him. Not really. I mean, I guess he got one removed. Honestly, it's the complete opposite. But he's kind of around. People still talk to him. I think it was kind of a long shot. It was kind of like a Hail Mary almost to get the administrator Fritz Willie to respond. But I mean, it's just amazing that, and it's so cool to see that these people from 10, 12, 13 years ago, they're still sort of like cognizant and aware of the area. They'll still come back, and it's just interesting to know that they're sort of looking on from afar about what's still going on with this project.
A little bit of it.
He's had a tough life, but
yeah, he has, man. Sheesh. Yeah, I was shocked to read about this guy's life, honestly.
It was super interesting hearing from this dude. I actually got all of his answers while I was on my honeymoon. I was just laying in the hotel bed. My wife was like downstairs, like getting some food or something like that. And I was just like laying in the bed, like just like a tear in my eye, just crying about how rough.
It's the most romantic thing. That's funny, man. That's funny. On your honeymoon, you were your honeymoon was upstaged by Fritz Willie's answers. That's pretty good.
Like all the stuff he's been through. But
I was actually on my honeymoon when I released my first SCP. And I was so ecstatic when it got like 11 upvotes. I was like, shit, yeah. Because I mean, I had already tried to post it like 3 times. It failed. Or twice. It failed twice. But the 3rd time's a charm. And I was just, I mean, it was a great honeymoon enough. It was good enough as it was. But that was just a little icing on the cake there. That was fun.
Man, like it's really cool how he was able to, kind of save the wiki from what it was, because it was starting to die and there wasn't really any succession plan. And when he started us off on Wikidot and seeing where we've grown, it's really cool to him and it's really cool to me, just like looking through his eyes a little bit and seeing how far we've come.
God, all right, yeah, I'm definitely gonna have to read this after we're done here. You have made me very, very interested.
Yeah, and I wanted to make it.
Come on, dude, don't be a lightweight. Only reading the Dr. Gears one. Come on, man.
Sort of a community event to some degree. I added, most of the questions have some kind of like community artwork on it pertaining to, Fritz Willy or Clef's, pieces, including I did like a big, what do you call it? That's whenever you have all kinds of images put together. Collage, yeah.
Oh.
I have like 3 collages, I think, on all 4 interviews.
Yeah, I remember seeing some on Dr. Gears. I like those. That's really nice.
Yeah, I edited all those and put some quotes from the article, and I wanted to make it sort of a community event.
Sean Saxon has a great microphone.
The whole thing interesting. It was a great experience. Those took me a long time. All 4 of those interviews took me a long time to work on it.
Well, man, it is just so appreciated. It's just astounding that this guy was around at the right time. This 13-year anniversary, and just doing all this work, man. I mean, so valuable. I mean, such a good idea. I mean, this is like, I think it's way better than Cactus Cast. Not to throw shade, because I love Cactus Cast. In fact, I think Cactus Cast is the best thing that DJ Cactus has ever done, period. Like, I'm sorry, but including all of his writing. I would love for that thing to still be going on today. In fact, we'll probably react to some of those, won't we? Yeah, I didn't think about that until just now. Of course.
Productivity on my interviews has really stalled since then. But I'm getting back into it. Hopefully I'll have another one in the next month.
Ooh, exciting to hear.
I'm just waiting on some replies. So,
Great.
But yeah, it was a very fun experience. Honestly, almost all the stuff I've done on the SCP Wiki, it's all been a fun time. All the people have been great. Great time.
So hot outside.
Can I ask, what are your future plans for the series? Any can you say who you have upcoming?
I suppose it wouldn't hurt.
Come on now.
Ooh, okay, let's go.
Yeah, I suppose it wouldn't hurt.
This is gonna be good. Let's hear. This is exciting. I'm glad we finished this off.
You can always. I have like a sandbox where you can sort of see my progress as I work on these.
What I tell you.
Although I don't announce who's going to be the next people or anything like
sandbox
that, it doesn't
stalking.
take a whole lot of research to figure out
Sandbox
what I'm
stalking.
really working on.
I love it.
But again, these people are lined up. I've already talked to them, and unless something falls through, and
so cool,
if they change their mind, a lot of people I contacted over a year ago, and they agreed to do an interview, and a year can always change things.
So cool.
Right.
Some of these might not come into fruition, but the next one will hopefully be a random day.
Oh, cool. Yeah, cool.
So,
good deal.
He will hopefully be the next one.
Really good author.
I got Pepper's Ghost on the line.
Oh, of course, dude. Hell yeah.
I won't mention what the name is for this one, but I don't just interview authors. I also interviewed the Exploring series, which is another YouTuber.
Mm-hmm.
The Exploring series was actually the reason I returned to the website, so that I actually did all these, which is kind of interesting.
Oh, interesting.
But
yeah, I read his interview. I like that a lot.
Yeah, but the Interviewing Icon series, it's not just for the authors. It's really for all the people who really contribute to the wiki.
That's good, man. That's good.
And like a meaningful way like that. And so, the Exploring series, I'm going to be doing YouTubers in the future as well. I already have another one lined up for that. But
Very cool.
I'm also going to be doing some artists. And so, hopefully that will be within the next
Hopefully
2 or 3
Sunny
interviews.
Clockwork. Yeah,
I won't mention what
the person who does all these vector arts that are just so damn good.
The name of that person is. Yes, that'll be the first one.
Ooh, okay.
Sunny Clockwork right there.
Okay.
But yeah, I have some more interviews lined up. I hope to resume my Meet the Administrator series some point soon. I'm waiting on a certain event to happen with one of them, and then I just need to work on the other one for the other person.
Was it the banning of Bright? You were going to wait to see if Bright got banned before you interview Dr. Bright? Is that what you were going to do with that one? It's hilarious, man. It's like interviewing administrators. It's like, okay, like the administrators are inherently less interesting, period, to me. I mean, because at least with an author, it's because they do probably good writing. They probably have decent writing there. An administrator is somebody who's hung around long enough to just like get the sinecure position. It's like a tenure. You're just around for a while. I mean, not that they didn't write things, but by the time you get to administrator, most people stop doing what they were doing before. Have you noticed? When you get the administrator position, you basically it's like, oh, okay, well, writing is for the plebs. Like, I don't have to write anymore. Like, and that's another reason why it makes me think that this whole thing is about social climbing, ladder climbing, is because, if these people were truly passionate about writing, why would they let something like, a political position stop them from writing, if they're passionate about it? And I'm not talking about like the Dr. Man, like I put it like a entry in the 5,000 contest just because I hadn't written anything in like 5 years kind of stuff. I'm just not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the people who can't help it write, who need to write. It's like oxygen, you know. That's a writer, okay? So, I mean, you know, a lot of these people who are administrators, I have no concern. I don't care about them at all. I'm sorry. And it's nice that you do them. It's entertaining. It's informative. But I'm only going to be interested in them in so much as I can do political commentary on it. Like someone like Dexanote talking about how he's just like, I love, I really want to be censured. You know, like that's the good stuff that I would get from that. I mean, it's not because I actually am interested in what these administrators have to say. I think that they're puppets. They don't really have a lot of substance to them on the whole. So, whatever.
So, you know. And who knows, maybe I'll get someone to interview me since I'm an administrator now.
Oh, is he?
Yeah.
Was White Guard administrator? Well, shit. Well, fuck me. Well, congratulations, dude. I didn't know that, did I? Damn, I gotta update the config wiki. Really? Let's see. I caught myself this time. Thank God. Yeah, I don't know if I knew that. I mean, definitely. I know Jacob Conwell. You know, Procyon Latour didn't make it. Thank God. I might have to update this shit. Did I miss this? Let's see. Let's see if I put it in here. Mini Meats and Storm Breath are the last ones that I saw. I must have missed this. I'm once again glad that I saw this. I thought it was 2021 was the last one. Okay.
I do intend on working on them. I'm a little busy at the moment since I'm trying to revitalize the community outreach team, and I still have a hand in the maintenance team as well. So, and I'm newly promoted administrator, like you mentioned at the start of the interview, I believe.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's sort of the future for it.
Very cool. I'm very excited to see more of what you release, and also very excited to go through and read more of them because I enjoyed these a lot. Oh.
Very cool.
Real quick.
Well, slap me silly.
We're about an hour and 20 minutes in. Do you want
there he is right there. When did this happen? How did I miss this? Gosh dang, dude. Wow.
to talk about administrator stuff, or are you burnt out?
No, I'm good to continue.
Okay, awesome. Well, okay, as you briefly mentioned there, you have recently become an admin on the community. Would you tell me a little bit more about what that's like?
I would say the main difference is seeing my account messages flashing all the time now. Because every time someone applies to the SCP Wiki, I get a notification that someone has applied to the SCP Wiki.
So I didn't... How did I miss this? This was in February 2022. Yasi Posse and White Guard. Dang, man. I think I even remember commenting on this at SCP Meta, now that I think of it, or Config Call-In. Okay. Well...
oh, that's annoying.
So we do have like a little program, a little script that you can run that will delete them quickly. But you still have to do a little bit of work to do that. So even though I've deleted like 300 already, I got like 151 currently that I'm looking at.
God.
But besides that, I have some more access to some more private channels, a more intimate relationship with the administrative team, be able to talk to them about some higher up issues. I was already a team captain, so I was used to a lot of that. But there have been some more avenues opened up to me because of that. Of course, my whole experience with staff, it was something I really got into right after I finished up my article. I finished up my article, people liked it, I knew it was going to stay, and from that point on, I was like, how else can I contribute to the site? And so,
son of a gumption.
Gone to staff as a junior staff member, working butt off, worked really hard, and people really liked that and really saw some value in my work.
We gotta clean up this config wiki.
Throughout the years now,
getting neglected.
I became an administrator through people trusting me to do a good job. So,
so what I said about administrators not being interesting, obviously this guy's an exception.
No question. What's really different about being an administrator? Just being able to talk to. I was already able to talk to the administrative team, but just really having sort of like a first look at some issues that are going to be coming up in the near future that we haven't really passed down to the rest of staff or the rest of the community that we need to do a little bit more research in. The stuff like that comes up. Not necessarily all bad things, and not necessarily all good things.
Wiki
stuff that we need to deal with just to help keep the site running.
Well, good for him, man.
Very important work.
I know it happened before I joined the administrative team, but I know it was something that happened because I can read the messages that happened before I joined. But stuff like Nutfall, as we call it, as we termed it, where SCP-173, the image, was taken down. Stuff like that. The original decision to really come up with that, and sort of the conversations going on behind the scenes concerning it. Even now, still more conversations and more things to iron out. It's not as simple as just taking the image down,
Interesting.
Yeah.
But stuff like that, that just comes up. So those are really
some interesting stuff.
Those are really like the main things. Just different things that mainly some preliminary stuff that might happen to the wiki in the future, and things that I can't really announce right now. Obviously.
Very interesting.
But that will be announced in the future. As well as
I love that the administrators in the SCP Wiki have basically what amounts to a non-disclosure agreement. So like when you basically become an administrator, you have to I guess sign your name in like blood or something. I don't know. Put your thumb on one of those like things that are in John Wick. A blood token, a blood promise, a blood pact, to not mention like what's coming down the pike. I don't know. Is it really that important? This is March, so what could he have been talking about? A charter rewrite? Was that really? I don't know, man. Not really as secretive as you need to be. Let's define a word. Define officious.
Officious.
Oh, what a good word. Thank you. Assertive of authority in an annoyingly domineering way, especially with regard to petty or trivial matters, intrusively enthusiastic in offering help. So I think this is slightly this one, officious, where it's like the people who are in the market square who are like no, it's like the lady at the post office or the DMV or something like that who really wants you to stand like behind the line. Like your toes can't be over that line. Like stay there. Do not come until I tell you it's okay to come. And they're like super pedantic about that stuff. This is not that bad, but I also think that like, I don't know, man. It's really probably not that important.
Just sort of, getting the ropes, obviously, only administrators can accept applications to the site. So although I haven't really been accepting applications, I've been dealing with some people who want to reach out to an admin about that. Our Wonder Kid, our Zen, the administrator.
Wonder Kid is a great title for Zen. Holy crap!
Great job of dealing with all the applications.
Yeah, that's a lifetime achievement award right there.
Stuff like that as well.
And now she's doing applications. She's doing applications and the crit forms. Holy shit!
It can be expected of an administrator. But we have a big team now, and I think we all do a great job at it. So.
Yeah, wonderful. I think the administration team does a great job as well. Zen is definitely somebody I want to have on this podcast. I've seen them around so much since I first joined the site and submitted multiple bad ideas to the ideas critique forum.
Great person.
Yeah, she knows her way around a crit, man. Holy crap, she knows her way around an article. Zen is an excellent critter. If you get a chance, it's kind of a roulette, if you go to the forums and the wiki, on the SCP Wiki. But if you're lucky, you might get Zen to give you suggestions and recommendations. I would take every single one of hers.
For sure.
If I were you.
If you're listening to this, Zen, hit me up, by the way. But yeah, super cool. Tell me more about this, the community outreach team, by the way. I know you mentioned that.
Yeah. So the community outreach team, if people aren't too aware of what they do, which is kind of an oxymoron, but kind of sad, been a little dormant for a while. The main thing that people know us for is we run contests. So the current contest going on right now is run by CO. More specifically, Round Your House is leading it up because it was his idea. But normally that's run by our contest committee, which I myself am a part of since I'm the captain of Community Outreach.
Mm-hmm. That's Department Con, right?
Yes, Department Con. Yep. It was Round Your House's idea. I think
Which, by the way, there's a podcast. There's like a special podcast. I think it's like a one-episode thing about Department Con. It was run by Rounder House and Green Wolf, so I thought we'd probably check that out at some point if maybe Rounder House wouldn't just be so buttered by the fact that I'm covering him. I gotta watch out for that. He gets real excited about that.
Came up with it back in November or something like that. And Procyon Loader, the captain before me, he brought.
You mean the guy who resigned in shame? The dude who tried to be sort of ran through into an administrator under cover of fire. Jacob Conwell was basically the human shield to get Procyon Loader in, and then everybody saw through it and nobody was going to have it. And so it sunk as the only administrative nomination and almost promotion that failed in the history of the SCP Wiki in 13 years. And for good reason. The guy was a total creep. He's a maniac. He's insane. He's totally insane. He's sadistic. And he's just a total creep. Total creep. So it was just so satisfying to see after a decade of the dude kind of getting away with a lot of shit, you know, like doxing kids, just all kind of awful shit, you know. It's so nice to see that happen.
Brought me up as a vice captain.
That was a hell of a scalp.
And then when he stepped down, I became, a co-captain. And then my co-captain stepped down, and now I'm. Sorry, was that how it went? No. There were two. I'm sorry. There were two vice captains that. Two vice co-captains, you want to call it. Nick B was the other one. Nick B is taking a step back too. So myself, I am the sole captain of community outreach, and there is a vice captain, Nepik, who's great. I love Nepik. Nepik does a lot of good work, and we are trying to revitalize the community outreach team with so many things happening to the wiki, some different controversies that we've had to handle, some different technical issues with the platform and such and so on. A lot of staff attention has been diverted away from community outreach and towards the other staff teams. And because of that, community outreach initiatives, the stuff that we used to do, doesn't get really done anymore. And so we're trying to revitalize that. There's going to be an announcement soon. We're going to have, I'll go ahead and mention, we're going to have a little bit of new leadership among the sections. So we separate each of our team into these sub-sections, and these sub-sections are like little sub-teams. So like there's a contest sub-team, right?
Yep.
And there's a leader for each of these sub-teams. And so we're going to be changing up some of the, and of course everyone already knows about it, all the involved parties. But we're going to be changing up some of the leadership of these sub-teams to hopefully revitalize them. We have some new ideas. We're going to change how some of them run. In the past, we've run seminars for people, either writing seminars hosted by people who are really good at some aspect of writing that other people can attend, listen to, and contribute to.
Okay.
As well as some intro seminars for people who are really new to the wiki.
All right.
It's been a little while since we've run a seminar, so that's as I was saying.
Those seminars are pretty cool.
Our teams have been dormant for a little while, but myself and the rest of the crew, we're going to try to get revitalized and get some really interesting content, some really interesting stuff for the community to enjoy. But yeah, we're going to be checking out some of the leadership. Site news. I've been the editor for the monthly site news.
Oh man, that's another thing he did. As soon as he became the editor to the site news, it got way better, like ridiculously better. Like it's so cool. Like it's what Config Magazine wants to be when it grows up, is the SCP Wiki site news. It's just so cool. I mean, there's no way that I can do anything that good because they have such a nice team of people. But I can dream. That's, sheesh, man. That's the goal right there.
Has not. We did not have a November edition, and we haven't had one since then because it's being reworked, and everyone will learn about that in the next coming weeks as to why.
I think they just released the May news like this week.
But side news will be continuing. They'll be taking a different form, though. Again, with the contest, we're in a contest. We're always planning new contests, and then there's new member introductions where we have people, introduce members to the site and answer any questions they might have, and that's going to be taking different forms. So community outreach is going to look very different a month from now.
I love this guy's southern drawl. I love it. It's unmistakable now. I wasn't sure about it last time.
Awesome, super exciting. Can't wait to see that.
Of course. But yeah, we already have some interesting contests. We're going to have one coming this summer, and I don't mind just mentioning that it's going to be coming this summer. Just because I'm not going to reveal to anyone what it's about.
Interesting.
So. Right. Fair enough. I wouldn't expect you to.
Yeah, Interesting.
So, lots of planning in the community outreach team. Hopefully we'll have some doing in the coming future.
All right, cool. I can't wait to see what you guys end up doing.
Yeah, should be a fun time.
I've been trying to get a writing contest going for Config Magazine with a cash prize, like a nice chunk cash prize. I think we'll be able to do it, but I've kind of delayed it here and there. I've kind of waited my turn because there's been so many contests lately. I mean, there's been this. There was Department Con. The RPC had one with what is it? Broader Horizons. Backrooms had one at the same time, and now Liminal Archives theirs is still going on. It's wrapping up. It's the horror contest, and I think posting ends in like 2 days, something like that, 2 or 3 days. So, I mean, I'm just trying to wait my turn politely. So, I mean, now that I hear that SCP is about to have another contest in the summer, I better strike pretty soon here.
Yeah. All right. In that case, I think this is a good place to start wrapping this up. Whiteguard, it was wonderful to have you. Thank you so much for coming on. It was seriously so interesting to talk to you about all this stuff. You definitely have something very, very unique to talk about here.
Yeah. It was a great time. I really enjoyed it. And it's always fun talking about some of my work on the site and also just talking to other people about the site. The
For
SCP
sure.
Wiki has fostered a really interesting culture here and a really interesting group of people that contributes to it, and I just love being a part of it.
Yep.
Yeah, for sure. I feel the exact same way.
Very cool.
Awesome culture. All right. Well, thank you so much for coming on, White Guard. I appreciate it a ton. It's great to have you.
Great to be here.
Yeah. All right. Well, see you guys in the next episode. Everything that we talked about will hopefully be linked in the description, unless I forget. All right. Bye-bye, everybody.
All right, cool. So, let's check this out over here. All right, so that was basically the end of the Sean Saxum and White Guard interview, and I was pleasantly surprised. I thought that the beginning of this Author's Anomalous thing is pretty, I don't know, it's pretty, it's kind of boring. You know, anybody who's been following what I've been trying to do knows that reading articles just like verbatim is really, really tough to make super interesting. I mean, I think you really it's almost necessary to have a like a video, visual kind of medium thing going on there. So, maybe if we do another Author's Anomalous, which I'm sure we will. I mean, why not? We'll probably skip. We'll just kind of look at the article and just be thankful that they're doing that. But we'll probably skip to the discussion part because I think that it got significantly more interesting as we went. But White Guard is just totally impressive to me. It was really, really nice to hear that. I think he deserves to be interviewed. I mean, he's just sort of a behind the camera kind of guy. So often it's just really nice to see him get some very, very well deserved time in front of the camera for a change. All right, so I knew that we probably would have a few minutes, 20 minutes or so. So let's hit this, which was the name of the stream tonight. So one thing that I felt like it was probably okay to react on is some news that came out yesterday, which was Mother's Day, May 8th. And this was kind of the shockwave heard around the world. And so this was really a long time coming. If you don't know what happened, basically AdminBright, who's also known as the Duck Man or Dr. Bright, was finally banned from the SCP Wiki. And this was a long time coming, a long time coming. So if you don't know about it, Bright really was sort of the topic of a lot of sexual scandals involving, at least impressionable people. So, for example, let's just read this. So basically, this came out yesterday, and this is, a log of anti-harassment ban people. But, it's kind of hit or miss. Just because your name is on here doesn't mean that you're a bad person. I'll tell you that from personal experience. But so anyway, this said anti-harassment team received an omnibus report. So we'll talk about what that omnibus report was in just a second. Anti-harassment team received an omnibus report regarding the actions of AdminBright. There he is with a fucking duck or two. Carried out while they were SCP Wiki staff. This report contained some evidence previously seen by anti-harassment team, and it also contained new material either previously not seen or which went uncorrelated. We'll get back to that in a second too. The team thoroughly examined the claims made by the report and conducted our own investigation into these events as well as the surrounding circumstances. It is our determination that AdminBright acted in a manner that was both deeply inappropriate and well beyond the lines drawn by site harassment policy. In conclusion, AdminBright is to receive a permanent harassment ban for violation of the following clauses of the policy: unwelcome sexual attention, including sending users sexual images, pressuring sexual discussion or interaction, or repeated unwanted flirting; repeated inappropriate social contact, such as requesting and assuming inappropriate levels of intimacy with others, for example, requesting nudes to his mostly underage audience on his Tumblr for his birthday one year. I think his 37th birthday. Encouraging any of the behaviors defined by the harassment policy. So I just kind of want to talk about this for a little bit, because this is obviously the tip of the iceberg. Yeah, this is sort of like the one little bit that people see, the top of the skyscraper that people all see when they look up. But there's a whole tremendous amount of work and time and sweat. And for some people, not me, I had a good time, but for some people, tears. AdminBright really fucked some people up. Let's not mince words. So I want to talk just a little bit about, not the tip of the skyscraper, which I think is where everybody's looking to. If you go to SCP Twitter, basically everybody is, really gung-ho about this announcement right here, and everybody's sort of commenting on it. And it's clear that people knew that AdminBright was an issue well before it came to this. But it just so happened that nobody wanted to speak up, nobody wanted to stand up, nobody wanted to do the right thing. And then so finally, it finally happened. So I guess the question on some people's minds might be, well, what happened? What changed? Because if you recall, all this started, really, Dr. Bright sort of went past the event horizon, sort of breached the point of no return it was probably 2020, about this time, 2020, so almost 2 years ago exactly. And what happened was that basically people on a site that really has a very bad reputation called Kiwi Farms were starting to dig up a lot of interesting information about Dr. Bright, about AdminBright, about the Duckman. And this had really gone back the year before. It really started in 2019 where somebody just kind of did a lolcow sort of research dossier on the Duckman. And of course, this was for no other reason than just to try to, make fun of people, make fun of the guy for his kinks and for his involvements, which I'm not really into. I don't want to shame somebody for being into whatever it is they're being into. Anybody who knows me knows that I'm pretty much a libertarian, I guess. If you really had to put a label to it. So I'm a staunch believer in, this is your body, your choice. You do what you want to do. Like, it's not my business to tell you what not to do. So part of that is I'm not really interested in like gunning down people for their like political beliefs, or like their kinks or like whatever. Like that doesn't really rise to the level of like, pursuit or journalism to me. It's other things for sure. So, but anyway, that's not the case for some people on Kiwi Farms, the sort of person that you sort of, assume to sort of mesh with the overall reputation of the site pretty well. And so that kind of started in 2019. And then in 2020, basically a lot of new information came to light. And there was so much information on the Kiwi Farms thread that it really became sort of something that boiled over into the actual SCP Wiki community. And then it boiled over even more than that, and it climbed the tower of the staff, and it resulted in this right here. This is once again in May 2020, so it's almost 2 years ago to the date. So this was the 8th of May, and then almost exactly 2 years, 5 days, 2 years and 5 days earlier, AdminBright came out and said this: Hey friends. Hey friends, real life is stressful. On site, I just feel like yada, 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 yada. And now, me, I'm tired, and I'm stepping away, No idea for how long or if I'll come back and visit. Hell, I may be inspired to write again, but I'm leaving. Signing off. And he gives this like sappy, like almost like retirement speech, like it's almost like this sort of thing that you would see somebody try to pull when they got up at a podium at their retirement or something like that. It's a shitty speech, by the way. But the interesting thing about it was that, for anybody who was paying attention to the stuff that was coming out on Kiwi Farms, it was very, very clear that this individual was asked to step down. This individual was under so much political heat and so much political fire, and it implicated the rest of the staff so definitively, so stressfully, that they encouraged AdminBright to retire. And we have it not on any proof, but just testimony for people who are still on the staff at this point. The word is, and we can't verify this, but the word is Modern Erasmus, who was a previous, I think he was an administrator at some point, definitely a moderator, was the one who approached Bright and asked him to leave so that they wouldn't have to ban him. Because the reason why they didn't want to do that was because it would look bad. It would, if they had to say publicly why it was that Bright needed to go, that would be a huge I mean, that would be, just throwing gas on the fire. I mean, they didn't want to do that. So they, behind the scenes and in closed doors, worked out a deal with Dr. Bright. They said, look, it's like any big high profile, firing. It's like when you get up to those levels of political sensitivity, it's not a firing, it's he resigned, and you give the person the option to resign, basically telling them in so many words that they're going to have to go. And so that's what this was. And so you see all these people, obviously Dr. Bleep, Lily, Lady Katie, Yossi, Cyber, Toomey, the Pighead, Malice Graves, Rattle, Quick Grooven, Gene R, Jackal, Crashington, Radiger, this old dead name that Harmony used to have, the Mighty McBee, Jacob Conwell, Dexanote, Taylor Itkin, Procyon, Latour, Zen, Lurked, Jorith, Modern Erasmus, yeah, there he is, this guy, Jazz Star, don't know who that is, and Multiverse. All these people saying thank you to this guy. All these people celebrating this guy, attending the retirement party, toasting, lifting the glasses, applauding, and giving really, essentially what's a standing ovation to this guy. And so those of us who remained on Kiwi Farms obviously were not satisfied with this, because this was the easy way out. This was really staff's way of avoiding any recompense or reckoning for basically their complicitness in what Bright had been doing for so long and knowing well about it. So that was 2 years ago, and it took almost 2 years for the staff to actually pronounce why it was that AdminBright was pressured to leave. And so what changed? Well, you see this first sentence, they received an omnibus report. So this omnibus report is called the Harmony Report. And I don't think Harmony would mind me telling you this because it's public information and she made it public. But at some point, her memories and ire with AdminBright was rekindled, and it brought back some unpleasant memories. And so that inspired Harmony to again look at compiling basically a definitive report on AdminBright. Basically putting all the information that was known about him in one place and trying to get someone to act on it. So the plan was, between me and Harmony, was to compile everything that had ever been said about AdminBright. And by the way, all of the information that we used, except for maybe 5% of it, which was not the tipping point. It wasn't the determining factor. 95% of the information that we put on this omnibus report and sent to staff was already public information. It had been public for 2 years, over 2 years. It was just sitting there. A lot of people already knew it. And so I was actually a little surprised to find that when we sent this report to the initial members of staff who were sort of our contact points, that a few of them at least were shocked when they read this information. They didn't know. I mean, there's a good number of people on the SCP Wiki staff who knew all this information very well. In fact, that was part of the report that we put together. We proved, beyond a shadow of a doubt, with evidence, with proof, that people were told the extent of AdminBright's sexual inappropriateness towards a lot of people and did nothing about it. And then even later lied about knowing what they knew. They said things like, oh, well, I kind of got the vibe that he was kind of weird, but we didn't know any details, the extent or the depth to which he was doing something like this. That's a complete lie, 100%. And it's proven. So this omnibus report that they're talking about is called the Harmony Report. That's what Harmony titled it. And how this came together was that Harmony asked me, first of all, Harmony came to me and said, hey, we have the ear of a staff member, which is astounding, which right there is the MVP, That's all it took. That's all it took was one staff member going like, okay, I'm not going to assume that you guys are like lepers. I'm not going to assume that you are just like, nothing that comes out of your mouth is valuable. Simply because you disagree with the community and you have criticisms of the community. And so Harmony came to me and said, we have the ear of someone on staff. Can you help me? Can you help me get this report together? And I said, yeah, sure. I mean, all this information is already out there. It's just on kiwi farms. Okay, well, the problem with that was that these people have a religious aversion to kiwi farms. And in fact, it's been worse than that. It's that these same people who knew these things about Dr. Bright, these same people who knew the depth of his character and what he'd gotten away with and were essentially complicit in these things, they were the ones who were actively encouraging people to not go to kiwi farms. They were disincentivizing it, for example. I mean, we can click right back here. Look, this guy right here. Anti-harassment team was alerted to behavior carried out by a mountain and their alternate Furret 1. And we began an investigation into their activities. We were approached by multiple members of the community that suggested this person was engaged in drawing attention to specific users for targeted harassment and participating in active doxing. After confirming the facts of the case, we found the user in violation of anti-harassment and user site conduct and has been banned. This person was banned because Furret is a name on kiwi farms. This guy was on kiwi farms. That's why he got banned. Furret did not dox anybody, ever. He was simply on a site where these people conflated a reputation of doxing with this guy. Furret didn't dox anybody. You can look at this again and again. You look at mine. Here's mine right here. Here it is. Was engaged in active doxing. I've never doxed anybody in my life. Do you think it's a coincidence that these people don't show you the proof? They just tell you that it's doxing, and then apparently most people believe it. The harassment things I was banned for were messages to people like Dr. Everett Mann. Messages to Dr. Everett Mann saying, hey, here's the evidence on Bright. You should ban this guy. I know that you should ban this guy. You know you should ban this guy. It's an absolute travesty that you haven't banned this dude yet. I sent a message to Dr. Everett Mann in, what was it? I think it was June of 2021. Yeah. And I have the proof of it. Go look at the Config Magazine Twitter. You'll see screenshots of the message I sent to Dr. Everett Mann in June of 2021 that has all of the information about AdminBright that eventually got him banned. They had all the information in this omnibus report, minus maybe 5%. And I never got a response from Dr. Everett Mann. Nobody listened. Nobody cared. Why? Because I was SCPCRNP. I was some guy who, criticized the community, made fun of the community. I couldn't possibly have anything good to say. I was an outsider. I was politically radioactive. And you can see how a culture that values the social climbing of a ladder, will basically regard that as leprous. You can't talk to that person. You can't listen to that person. That person doesn't have anything important to say or good to say. So, this is, like I said, this has been going on for a very long time. And we finally, I don't know how it happened. I guess Harmony just basically messaged somebody. And Harmony came to me and said, we have someone's attention. Would you like to capitalize on this? And I said, yeah. And so we were talking, and Harmony said, okay, so, let's get all this stuff into a report. And I said, okay, so here's this, here's that. And then Harmony says, more. And I say, okay, well, here's this and here's that. And Harmony says, more. And I go, at some point I stop and I go, why can't this person just go to kiwi farms? All I'm doing is taking information that's publicly available on kiwi farms and putting it into the DMs. That's it. I'm just copying and pasting. That's it. That's what this omnibus report is. And the answer from Harmony, who is obviously a proxy for the person on staff, was, well, they don't want to go to kiwi farms. They can't go to kiwi farms, which is astounding to me. It's like, how in the world could you not go to a place just because you're afraid to go to it when it has good information in it? I mean, you're literally letting it's a religiously significant hindrance to your understanding and information. Prevent you from knowing things like this 2 years ago. 2 years ago, this was available publicly. And so that, you can tell yourself that this is innocuous, that these people didn't know, that they didn't have the corroborating evidence. It wasn't correlated. But that's 2 years that this individual, AdminBright, was out there doing his thing in his element with the people he's always done it with. You think he took those 2 years off? He didn't. So, at some point I said, why doesn't this person just go to Kiwi Farms? I don't care what you think about Kiwi. I mean, I agree with you. Kiwi Farms is a disgusting place. The average person there is not the kind of person you want to associate with. But do you understand that none of that was important because we were doing shit like this? This is what's important. And so we have a cast of people who can't understand, who can't see anything more important than just the most superficial social associations with some place like Kiwi Farms. It's a religious mindset where it's blocked. You can't possibly have anything true to say. That's a dangerous thing to have in your brain, because that's what allowed AdminBright to persist for 2 extra years. Okay? This report contains some evidence previously seen by ATH. We proved without a shadow of a doubt that people like Soulless Singularity was acutely aware of the inappropriate things that Dr. Bright had done and either didn't escalate it or did and no one did anything about it. It also contained new material. So the new material here is chat logs. So once again, on Kiwi Farms, as a result of really Harmony being stepped on by the community that she, donated 10 years of her life to creatively, and who pulled the rug out from underneath her and changed the terms of service mid-flight to where she couldn't suddenly do the thing that they had promised and honored anyone else doing for the last 13 years. As a result of that, Harmony dropped about 15 million lines of chat logs on Kiwi Farms and shared it with probably 2 or 3 people. I was one of those people. The reason why she had shared it with me was because I had developed a reputation on Kiwi Farms as TOS for being ridiculously thorough in combing through, in a highly granular fashion, any logs that were given to me to mine it for actionable material. That was my MO. That's what I did, and I did it very well. And so when these 15 million lines of code dropped, Harmony called me up. Harmony said, "Hey, would you like to look through these?" And I said, "I think I can make time for that." So we did. And you wouldn't believe the shit we found. When I say that this AdminBright post is the tip of the iceberg, it's the very tip-top light on the skyscraper, I'm not just talking about the effort that went in to get AdminBright here. I'm talking about there's information like this on a ton of people. There's more people like this. And in fact, when I was giving information to Harmony to compile into this Harmony report that she gave to staff that got AdminBright banned, I had to cut it down. At some point, Harmony's like, "Hey, look, we got to focus here. We got to keep it just on Bright. We got to keep it like this, just on Bright." And so I had to throw this out. I had to throw that out. That's not really about this. That's not really about that. But there's all kinds of stuff like this in there. And in fact, like I said, all of this is on Kiwi Farms. All you have to do is just get over your religious aversion to looking at it. It's not going to kill you. It's not a mimetic kill agent. Okay, you're not going to be infected with bigotry. I hate to tell you this, but there are people like at Kiwi Farms all around you every day in close proximity to you. You just don't know it. Just the way the life is. I hate to tell you that. Online you can sort of artificially isolate yourself in a topography like Twitter. But this is the way people are. I hate to tell you that. So once again, the whole community-wide chorus that has persisted for, several years of, hey, let's just vilify anybody who has any association with Kiwi Farms because Kiwi Farms bad, because there are people there who are unsavory. I can't, if you can't see how inane that is, then I can't help you. And if you can't see how inane that is, then you missed your opportunity to be the person responsible for AdminBright getting permabanned. Because that was Harmony. Harmony did that. I didn't do anything. I just copy and pasted from what was on Kiwi Farms. I mean, yeah, I looked through the logs too and got snippets out of that. But I mean, was that really that hard? I mean, all you got to do is have an attention span and a dedication. So, this line about how it was uncorrelated is completely untrue. They knew about it the whole time. There was probably a little bit of things here that they didn't know, but none of it was like pivotal. None of it tipped over. So this is interesting. Oh, they said they conducted their own investigation. So we all know that staff are the only people in the SCP space who actually go to kiwi farms. They'll tell everybody else to not go, but if you went, then you'd see them there. So that's just what they do. So I'm curious as to if they did this on kiwi farms or by conducting their own investigation. I wonder if that meant they actually approached Bright and like asked him, hey, did you do this shit? But they already knew the answer, man. Like that's the one. If you don't take anything away from this discussion, know that the evidence that we compiled in this omnibus report that is called the Harmony Report, the parallels with the Mueller report were explicit. That was why she called it that. This omnibus report, if you don't take anything away from this discussion, know that the evidence in that report proves without a doubt that people knew about AdminBright for a long ass time. Even things like veering towards the direction of underage shit, of like highly manipulative behavior. So, I mean, on the one hand, I'm thrilled to see this. You don't understand. This is two plus years of work that myself and that Harmony are not going to get any credit for. Not that that's really the point. But I'm happy to see this. I'm happy to see this. This is what we've wanted for a long time. I got banned from the SCP Wiki for sending messages to people that reamed them for not doing shit like this earlier. That's why I'm banned. Okay, that's the harassment. All right, that's the doxing. Okay, so this is nice to see, but at the same time, don't be fooled. This is something that communism will win. Akumioi said on his Twitter recently, which is that don't don't applaud this too much because they're basically trapped. They're trapped in a corner again. I'll tell you something else that's true that you don't know about this omnibus report. Like I said, it includes a lot of evidence and information of other people doing very similar things. Other people who wouldn't want you to know that. And so once it was made clear that if they didn't publish this report or at least do something about it or at least see an effect at the other end of it, that we were going to release it. Because we gave them a timeline of 2 weeks. We gave it to them 3 weeks ago. We gave them a timeline of 2 weeks. We said, we know you guys like to sit on your asses with your thumb up your ass and do nothing. That's what you've done for 10 years, 2 years especially. So if you don't have anything to show for this in 2 weeks, we're going to release it. Well, they didn't meet the deadline, but Harmony was patient and wise and just waited. And so I'm glad we did because this happened. So that's nice. But don't believe for a second that this wasn't a forcing of their hand. This was forced. We twisted the shit out of their arm because there's information in this omnibus report that would implicate and be incredibly bad PR for a huge number of people. So at some point, it was basically Bright or them. So, I mean, obviously they went with Bright. They didn't want to do this. These connections that apparently went uncorrelated for so long were always there. They were not really that new. Anybody with 2 brain cells able to communicate with one another knew the things already that were in that report. So it's just, once again, it's nice to see this. It's just a little, let me say it this way. There are people on the staff who didn't know this before, who hadn't seen this stuff before. So, you got to give them that. They didn't know it before. This was news to them, okay? So I'm not taking that away from these people. But who I am taking it away from are the people who we know knew well before this happened, well before me and Harmony submitted this omnibus report to the staff. So, typically what would happen in this kind of situation is I would react to a lot of things on Saturday, our SCP Meta show, but I'm not doing that this week because I'm out of town. We're not having one this week. So, a detailed discussion about this is going to have to wait until, probably 2 weeks. But let's just actually have some fun here real quick just before I go. Because, 2 weeks is a long time. There's going to be a lot of shit that happens. So let me do this real quick. By the way, go to the Config Magazine Twitter, which most people have blocked just because we're the Kiwi Farms people, apparently. And you can see what I was writing in June 2021, and the report that I sent Dr. Mann that was very similar to this report, that nothing was done with. Here's somebody who's, you see this all the time. People are celebrating this shit, like all over Twitter. People suddenly it's like they knew the whole time too. In fact, we don't have to go into this right now, but there are some people on Twitter right now who are saying things like, "Oh yeah, well he came to me in my DMs and like said some really shady, creepy shit." Okay, so why didn't you say that to anybody? Why did it take? Are you that weak of a person? I hate to say that. Are you that weak of a person to where only when someone else does the heavy lifting and only when this happens, then you can come out? What are you afraid of? You're afraid of social rejection. Because until this point, this is a tipping point right here. So before this happened, people felt like they couldn't say anything. Because there's this hovering of, ostracism. I can't say this word. Of being ostracized. Like me. Right? They don't want to be like me. But me and Harmony are the ones who did this. Tell your friends. It's fucking us. We're not going to get credit for it. You know what? I don't give a fuck. You want to know why I don't give a fuck? Because this guy's gone. It isn't about who gets credit for this shit. You shouldn't be celebrating either of us. Okay? Because just because we got something right one time doesn't mean the next thing's going to be right. It's not who says it, it's what's said. And what matters is that this guy is done. Now he's still on TikTok. He's still got an appreciable amount of people. But hopefully, if the Twitter reactions are any indication, people are going to spread the word now. And that's all that we can ask. We can't make people's decisions for them. My whole thing this whole time has been, let's just get people educated. Well, there's been a glass ceiling put over the things that we've been trying to say. We've been muzzled for 2 years. No one wanted to hear what we had to say. We couldn't be right because of who we were. We were antagonists to the community. We were radioactive socially. Those are the reasons why AdminBright was free for the last 2 years. Why this happened 2 years and 5 days after he was allowed to voluntarily retire. In quotes. There is a ton to say about this event that people don't know because they weren't on the working side of this. They just see the final product. They don't see everything behind the scenes. I would encourage you to, tune in to things like Config Magazine or the Config Wiki because we're going to have some things to say about this. And, it's not about, this thing is going to get distributed. So, if you don't like the magazine, if you don't like the wiki, obviously, don't worry. You'll probably get the information elsewhere. But anyway, all that to say, it's just so funny who will turn out to be, a force for good, I think. People who think that Harmony is a villain, they need to reassess what they use to define the term villain. Because this is Harmony's work. Harmony was the one who got in touch with the person on staff. Harmony was the one who got the report all in one place, not on Kiwi Farms where people just would inherently not look at it because of the URL. Harmony was the one who asked me to help her and get this thing together. She was the one who submitted it to staff, even when, by the way, there was really no hope. Why would you think that it's like the definition of insanity, just banging your head against the wall over and over again. Why do you think it's going to be different this time? Well, Harmony didn't listen to that, and she submitted this report. So, yeah. But this is it's good to see. It's good to see. I don't think this will change the SCP culture. I think that the problem with this culture is that everybody's just terrified, mortified, petrified of being made fun of or being ostracized. Two things that I don't care about. And it's no coincidence that I'm in the position that I'm in. But let me say this just in closing, and then we'll call it a night because we've gone a little extra tonight. I appreciate you sticking around. By the way, this stream is for you, the one person who's here. I don't give a shit about the other people who are here. They come and go. Who knows who they are? I got one viewer who doesn't fucking miss a night. I don't know who it is, but that's one reason why tonight I finished up the video first. It's because I knew that this person would stick with me the whole time. So thank you very much, whoever you are. It's not about numbers to me. It's about the connection, the quality of the connection. So I appreciate you hanging around. But let me just say this one thing, and then we'll exit. I forgot what I was going to say. I guess that was it. That was probably more important anyway than whatever it is I was going to say. Yeah. Anyway, good talk. Good talk. We're going to talk a lot about this in the future. Tomorrow night I don't really have anything planned, so maybe we'll look at more of this tomorrow night. Twitter stuff. I don't know. Yeah. I don't know. I'm gonna remember what I was gonna say after I get off. But anyway, so I appreciate you hanging around. This has been a fun, interesting stream, and yeah, I mean, this is just the initial mushroom cloud. There's going to be shockwaves. There's going to be collateral. There's going to be all kinds of residual things. This is just the first split second in a cataclysmic explosion. The ripples of which will be fibrillating throughout the community and beyond for quite some time. So, I appreciate you all joining tonight. We'll do this again tomorrow night as we do. Just once again, this is a short week for me. Got to go out of town, but typically we do this every Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday night at 7:30 p.m. CST on the Twitch. Obviously, we have our Saturday show, SCP Meta, that happens at 11 a.m. CST for about an hour. Check that out. But yeah, so tomorrow night will be the last one this week, and then I'll go out of town for a funeral, and then I'll be back after the weekend. But we'll figure out what to do tomorrow night. I kind of, if there's nothing else that comes up, I really do want to go through a lot of these Twitter posts that are parroting this post and sort of comment on those things, because it's some of the things that people have said is just fantastic, and then some of the things that other people have said you might be surprised to learn some supplemental information about. So I'll look and see. I'd rather do something besides this because I don't want to look like I'm trying to capitalize on this, but this is the most significant thing to happen in a while, and you're damn wrong if you think I'm not going to do a victory lap here, because this was a ton of work. This was a ton of work, and I'm happy to have done it. Obviously, like I said, Harmony's the one who did it. I was just helping. So, just think a little bit, reassess who the enemies are, okay? Reassess who you define a villain as. There are more important things going on than political differences. There's more important things going on than, the relatively innocuous disagreements that we have. Everybody should be celebrating this. Doesn't matter who you are. This is the kind of thing that a community can come together over. And we are more than happy to have brought it to you, me and Harmony. This has been Lack of Lepers, a.k.a. SCPCRNP. We'll see you again tomorrow night. Thank you all very much for coming. Hope you have a good one. Peace.